Imagine this. It is Christmas Eve. The house smells like food, kids are running around in new pajamas, adults are at the table playing cards, laughing, talking about nothing and everything. It is late, almost midnight. The doorbell rings. An 8-year-old girl runs through the door because she just saw him through the window. Santa. Red suit, white beard, big wrapped present on a little trolley. She opens the door, turns back to her family and yells, "Santa's here!" And Santa lifts his arm and shoots her in the face. This is Covina Christmas Eve Massacre. Alright, deep breath. Let us get into this. We are in Covina, California. Tiny quiet suburb about 20 miles from downtown Los Angeles. It is December 24th, 2008. This little street, East Knowlcrest Drive, is the kind of place where people know their neighbors, they leave Christmas lights up all year, kids ride bikes in circles, it is very cozy, very normal. Inside one of those houses live Joseph and Alicia Ortega. Everyone calls him Papa Joe. He is almost 80, she is 70. They have been married for 53 years and they love Christmas. Like full on, all out, pack the house, invite everyone, the door is open. If you are breathing, you are invited. They have 5 adult children: James, Charles, Leticia, Alicia, and Sylvia, plus in-laws, plus grandkids. So on Christmas Eve, there are about 25 to 30 people squeezed into this house. Kids, teens, adults, neighbors who might as well be family. This is their tradition every single year. They have dinner, they talk, they joke, they yell over each other. At some point, the tradition is the adults sit down for a game of Texas Hold'em in the dining room near the front of the house. Kids are upstairs on the computer, in the backyard by the pool, playing video games, running in and out. And for a minute, it is just one of those perfect, regular, boring Christmas Eve nights. Until 11:30 p.m. By that time, some people are getting ready to leave. Parents are gathering kids, grabbing coats, talking about Santa coming soon. The adults are still at the poker table. 8-year-old Katrina, one of the granddaughters, is in the living room when she sees movement outside the front window. A figure coming up the path. Bright red coat, white beard, Santa. Now, the Ortega family has actually a tradition where a neighbor sometimes dresses up as Santa and brings presents for the kids. So this is not weird, this is familiar, this is fun. Katrina gets excited, runs to the door, flings it open and yells, "Santa's here!" On the porch is a man in a full Santa suit. He has a big gift-wrap box on a little rolling cart behind him and a red bag over his shoulder. And then, instead of "ho ho ho," he pulls out handguns and shoots this 8-year-old girl in the face. The bullet tears through her cheek and jaw. Somehow, it does not kill her. That is a miracle. But in that split second, the entire night shatters, because Santa steps into the doorway and starts firing into the crowd. Inside the house, there is pure chaos. At first, a couple of people think the noise is balloons popping or firecrackers. It takes maybe a half a second to realize these are gunshots. The adults at the poker table look up and there is Santa in the doorway with a gun pointed straight at them. He fires at anyone he sees. James Ortega is one of the first adults hit. As he goes down, his brother Charles looks up, sees the face behind the Santa beard and yells, "It is Bruce!" And then Charles is shot too. People try to dive under the table, grab children, run to the back, hide behind furniture. Chairs are flipping, drinks spilling, everyone is screaming. Joseph and Alicia, Papa Joe and his wife, plus some of their daughters and daughters-in-law, try to hide under the dining table. It doesn't matter. The man in the Santa suit keeps shooting. Most of these shots are at a close range, deliberate, controlled. This is not random. He knows exactly who he is here for. Upstairs, 17-year-old Michael, one of the grandsons, is on the computer. He hears the shots, the yelling, and then the floor shakes. Because Santa brought more than guns. Remember that big present on the trolley? That was not a toy. Once he has emptied rounds into the people in the living room, this man sets his guns down and starts unwrapping the giant gift. Inside is a homemade flamethrower. It is basically a racing fuel tank modified with a hose and nozzle attached, filled with high-octane gasoline or racing fuel. It is not some little spray bottle. This thing is designed to turn a house into an oven. He starts spraying fuel all over the inside of the house: carpets, furniture, walls, Christmas tree, everything. In a house full of decorations, candles, and pilot lights, it is basically a bomb waiting for a spark. The plan, as far as investigators can tell, is to soak the house and then ignite it with some kind of flare. But there is a problem. It is Christmas Eve. The house is full of lit candles, cooking, gas pilot lights. At some point, the racing fuel hits an open flame, and the house explodes. Windows blow out. Fire shoots up 12 to 15 meters into the air. Neighbors literally describe it as an explosion. People who are still alive inside now have fire racing toward them. Some are shot, some are burned, some are both. Outside, parents are grabbing kids and jumping over fences. One woman breaks her ankle leaping from a second-story window. Another teenage is shot in the back while trying to get out. Leticia, the youngest Ortega daughter and Katrina's mother, manages to grab her injured 8-year-old, get out the back, hop a fence, and bang on neighbor's door to call 911. She is hysterical on the phone. There is a fire, there is a man with a gun, my family is inside, my daughter has been shot. And while she is screaming on the phone, multiple neighbors are calling too. Gunshots, explosions, a house burning, a man in a Santa suit. By the time firefighters get there, it takes about 80 of them roughly an hour and a half to get the blaze under control. 9 people inside that house do not make it out alive. Let us pause and look at who was lost that night. Joseph Ortega, 79, Alicia Ortega, 70, 4 of their 5 children, Charles, James, Alicia, and Sylvia, 2 daughters-in-law, Sherry and Teresa, and 17-year-old grandson, Michael, who was upstairs. 9 family members gone in one night. Many of their bodies are so badly burned they have to be identified through dental and medical records. 3 people survive with serious injuries. Katrina, the 8-year-old who opened the door and was shot in the face, a teenage girl shot in the back, and a young woman who broke her ankle jumping. Everyone else who survives is carrying trauma you cannot see. So, who is Santa? Because by the time the fire is out, he is gone. Police start with what they have: witnesses. Everyone who saw him up close says the same thing. It was not a stranger. It was not some random intruder. It was Bruce. Specifically, 45-year-old Bruce Jeffrey Pardo. Bruce is the ex-husband of Sylvia Ortega, one of the daughters who died in the fire. Her full name, Sylvia Ortega Pardo. The divorce between Sylvia and Bruce was finalized exactly 1 week before this massacre. So let us rewind. Who is this guy? Bruce Pardo grew up in the San Fernando Valley. Smart guy, studied at Cal State Northridge, got a job at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, like legit rocket science vibe. Later worked as an electrical engineer. On paper, this man is doing fine, 6-figure salary, stable career, nice house. But if you look at his personal life, the pattern is ugly. In the 1980s, he has an engagement where he literally leaves his fiancée at the altar, just does not show up to the wedding. That is already a huge red flag. Later, he is in a relationship with a woman named Elena. They have a son together, Matthew. When Matthew is about 13 months old, Elena leaves the baby with Bruce for a short time while she goes out to run errands. Little everyday moment. She comes home and finds Bruce standing in the house holding their son. Matthew is limp. Bruce is frozen, not doing CPR, not calling anyone, just standing there. They rush Matthew to the hospital. He was fallen or crawled into the pool and nearly drowned. Doctors managed to resuscitate him, but the lack of oxygen leaves him with severe brain damage. He will never walk. He will need care for the rest of his life. For a while, Bruce stays at the hospital. As soon as doctors say Matthew is stable, Bruce starts showing up less and less. Then he stops. He stops visiting. He stops helping with medical bills and eventually completely disappears from their lives. Elena has to sue him just to get money for Matthew's care. She wins a settlement from his homeowner's insurance and a small monthly payment for support. After that, Bruce cuts all contact, never sees his son again. But years later, he still claims Matthew on his taxes as a dependent to get money. So he will not see his disabled child, but he will absolutely use him for a tax deduction. That tells you a lot about who we are dealing with. One thing everyone says about Bruce: he is obsessed with money. He is always talking about it, worried about it, counting it. He hates spending on anyone else. So when he meets Sylvia in 2004, he shows her the best version of himself. Sylvia has already been through tragedy. Her first husband died in a car accident when she was pregnant with their second child. She eventually moves back near her family in Covina, raises her 3 kids, and then friends introduce her to Bruce. At first, it looks good. Bruce is charming, smart, good job. He seems to embrace her kids. They all do outings together. He's that fun stepdad figure. In 2006, they get married. They buy a house in Montrose, $500,000 home, nice cul-de-sac, cute dog. Bruce volunteers at church as an usher. It looks like a solid blended family situation from the outside. Inside the marriage, Bruce refuses to open a joint bank account. He will not let his money touch her kids. He expects Sylvia to pay for her 3 children entirely on her own. He presents himself as a man with no kids, no financial baggage. Except he does have a child, Matthew, that he abandoned. Sylvia finds out about Matthew when she is doing Bruce's taxes and sees that he has claimed a dependent she has never heard of. Bruce's own mother quietly explains the story. So now Sylvia knows that her husband lied about having a child, lied about supporting him, and is still using the child on paper to get tax benefits. Add to that, Bruce gets a bad knee injury, has surgery, cannot do the things he likes. He becomes withdrawn, sits at a computer all day, does not shower, does not participate in family life. Depression? Probably. But instead of getting help or being honest, he sinks deeper into resentment. By late 2007, Sylvia is sleeping in a separate room, spending weekends at her parents' house, and in early 2008, she files for divorce. And this is where everything starts to snowball. During the divorce, Sylvia tells the court about Bruce's spending, his secret son, his behavior. She talks about how he drew down their savings, how he moved money into a private account. Bruce is furious. He feels humiliated. His image as the nice guy engineer is falling apart in front of people he knows. In June 2008, the court orders him to pay about $1,070 a month in spousal support. He tells friends Sylvia is taking him to the cleaners. Then in July, he is fired from his job for billing false hours. So now he is out of work, under financial pressure, and obsessed with the idea that this is all Sylvia's fault. The court later suspends the support payments because of his unemployment, but as part of the final settlement, he still has to pay Sylvia around $10,000. She keeps her expensive engagement ring and she gets the family dog. Meanwhile, Bruce is telling everyone who will listen that she is living with her parents for free and wasting money on a car, Vegas trips, meals, whatever. He absolutely refuses to look at his own choices. In his head, this is all one big conspiracy to ruin him. To make it worse for his ego, his mother goes to the divorce hearings and sits on Sylvia's side, supports her. That cuts him deeply. He feels betrayed by everyone. So at this point we have anger, humiliation, obsession with money, a man who blames everyone else, and access to weapons. In June 2008, Bruce buys a 9mm handgun in Burbank. In August, he buys another. Over the next few months, up through November, he legally buys several more 9mm handguns, spacing the purchases out to get around California's one handgun per 30 days rule. By December, he has 4 9mm handguns he can carry on him at once, plus plenty of ammunition. He also starts gathering ammunition, black powder, high-octane fuel, and materials to make devices. His shed becomes, in police words later, basically a little bomb-making factory. So while he is telling people his life is so unfair, he is also out here planning. The divorce is finalized on December the 18th, 2008. 1 week later, he puts on a Santa suit, loads 4 9mm handguns, a homemade flamethrower, extra ammo, and drives a rented blue Dodge Caliber to his former in-laws' house in Covina. He knows they will be there. He knows it will be crowded. He knows there is a family tradition with Santa. He parks, walks up to the house, and the rest you already heard. After the massacre and the fire, while the Ortega house is still smoking, another call comes into police about 30 miles away in Sylmar. A man named Berg comes home from a Christmas party and finds his brother dead in his living room. His brother's name is Bruce. Bruce Pardo is on the floor in the pool of blood with a gun in his hand. There are bullet holes in the ceiling and walls. At first, officers are not sure what happened. Did someone shoot Bruce and flee? Was there a struggle? Then, as they start putting pieces together, everything lines up. The guns found at Brett's house matching the kind used in Covina. The rental car spotted leaving the burning house with its light off is registered in Bruce's name. Inside that car, parked a block away, officers find a Santa suit and bags of ammunition booby trapped with a flare. When they try to move the suit, the flare ignites and the entire car explodes, sending bullets cooking off and destroying a lot of evidence. It is very clear now this man had plans. Later, police finds another rental car parked near the home of Sylvia's divorced attorney. Inside are clothes, food, water, maps of the US and Mexico border, basically a go-bag. And at the Bruce's own house and the shed, they find the gun boxes, extra weapons, more fuel, black powder, and what they describe as a homemade bomb. This was not a snap decision in the heat of the moment. This was months of buying, prepping, fantasizing. So what happened? If he get a getaway planes, why is he dead in his brother's house instead of on the run? When the coroner examines Bruce's body, they find two things. A self-inflicted gunshot wound to the mouth, consistent with suicide, and severe burns, third-degree burns on his arms. The Santa suit had literally melted into his skin. Investigators think that when he sprayed racing fuel in the Ortega house, he did not plan for the presence of open flames. When the fuel ignited faster than he expected, it causes an explosion that engulfed him too. He staggered out of that house badly burned, fused into his costume in intense pain. He manages to change clothes as much as he can, drive to his brother's place, and at some point he decides he cannot go through with the rest of his plan. His original idea, based on the guns, the booby-trapped car, the maps and notes, seems to have been kill Sylvia and her family, kill his ex-wife's attorney, possibly kill his own mother who has sided with Sylvia, then flee, maybe across the border. His mother, by the way, had been invited to the Ortega Christmas Eve party and did not go because she felt unwell. She later learns her own son planned to kill her in that house. Instead, burned and injured, Bruce goes to Brad's house, fires a couple shots into the walls, maybe trying to psych himself up or out, sits down and ends his own life. He leaves behind $17,000 in cash, strapped to his body with plastic wrap under shapewear, like he was still halfway in escape mode. Cocaine is also found in his system, so he went into this massacre not just with weapons and planning, but with drugs in his blood as well. It is a horrifying mix of planning and chaos. What makes this case extra disturbing is not just the brutality, but the setting. He did this in a Santa suit on Christmas Eve to a family that had welcomed him, fed him, called him son, uncle, husband. Leticia, the only surviving Ortega daughter, later says he knew exactly what Christmas meant to them. He knew this was the one night Papa Joe was happiest, because all his kids and grandkids were together in one house. He chose that moment on purpose. But here is the part I want to end on, because the story does not stop with him. It continues with the people who survived. Leticia loses both her parents, 4 siblings, in-laws, and her nephew in one night. She is the one who identified Bruce to the police. She is also the one who has to pick up the pieces for the younger kids. She and her husband take in her 6-year-old niece Amanda, who lost her mother Sylvia that night. Amanda grows up as Katrina's sister. Katrina, the 8-year-old who opened the door and survived a bullet to the face, has surgeries, scars, nightmares. But as she grows up, she refuses to let that night be the end of her story. In high school, after the Parkland shooting in 2018, she helps organize a walkout against gun violence. She reads the names of the victims out loud as someone who knows exactly what it feels like when gunfire turns an ordinary day into the worst day of your life. She says, "I knew I had to keep fighting. I knew I would live my life to the fullest for each one of my family members and everybody affected by gun violence." Christmas does not disappear for them. It is still an anniversary of the massacre, yes, but it is also still Christmas Eve. Leticia says she made a conscious choice. She would not let that night steal the holiday from her daughters and nieces. She chose to keep celebrating, to bring light into a day that could have stayed dark forever. Kids are watching how the adults cope, so she decides she is going to be an example of security and love, even when she is still grieving. "We are sad, we are hurt," she says, "but we are going to be okay." And that is where I want to leave this. A man in a Santa suit tried to destroy an entire family because he could not handle his own failures, his own anger, his own ego. He had guns, fuel, bombs, lies, plans, but what he did not count on was their faith, their resilience, their decision to keep going. He stole 9 lives. He ruined one Christmas Eve. He did not get to own every Christmas after that. You are not meant to stay in the fire forever. You are meant to make it out, carry your people with you in memory, and build something they would be proud of. If you made it this far, thank you for listening all the way through. Let me know in the comments what you think about this case, and if you want more dark holiday stories like this, or if we should move back to non-seasonal nightmares next. Be kind, stay safe, hug your people tight, and I will see you in the next one.